so bad. Knock, knock. Do you do knock, knock jokes in India?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, then you'll all know this one, so it won't even be funny. Knock, knock.
Who's
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Sorry.
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting
Every
cow.
cow.
Interrupting cow.
So bad. So bad. Hello, you lovely 20 people that are here. Well, I wish I could see them. How is everyone? Oh. There's our tiny little boat.
Many years ago, when I was 24 years old, I was invited by a friend to join him on an around the world journey, just using human power. It was the first time that someone had attempted that, pedaling the oceans in a boat that our friends built for us, crossing the land masses by biking, rollerblading, walking, also using kayaks. So it was not using any fossil fuels whatsoever. I'm doing this year's expedition with my wife, Tammie. Tammie,
That's not comfortable.
what are you doing in there? I'm missing the boat. And this is my wife, Tammie Stevens, who is, I think, probably the most empathetic, compassionate person I've ever met.
I would do anything for any animal. I once infiltrated a pit bull fighting ring in order to save 100 dogs, so I'm no stranger to fear. But being on this expedition with my husband Jason is terrifying to me. Being on the water, being in a boat, being in a canoe.
What are you smuggling on board, Tammie? A blooming chicken? Oi! A rubber chicken, just what we need.
It's Bill, he goes everywhere.
I know.
But anyway. But to get on a boat and pedal to motivate people to care for the planet and to bring awareness to people who are caring for the planet and getting out of their comfort zone, oh heck yeah.
So I'm really excited to get back in her this year with my wife Tammie, and we're going to take Moksha around the coast of Wales.
Daytime, wasn't it?
It doesn't matter. When we're at sea, we sleep on the boat. When we're at land, when we come into land to port, we sleep on the land. Yeah.
Okay.
What's the problem?
I'm very nervous to be on the boat in the dark.
And we're going to be using her as this sort of ultimate storytelling vehicle to go and discover what other people are doing in terms of sustainability solutions. Hopefully it's a human story that a lot of people can relate to.
We need everyday heroes that can help with climate change and that can get out there and inspire to make the world a livable place and to keep things from disappearing.
Wow, so we got to know great insights of ma'am, and I would like to give a short intro of ma'am. So, ma'am is currently on an expedition facing her greatest fears as she tries to bring awareness to what everyday people are doing to combat the effects of climate change. Before GB360, she founded an animal rescue, the Lazarus Fund, of which she is still the director as well as co-founding BillyFish Books, an award-winning publishing company. Tammie ma'am is also an accomplished singer, actress, but her real forte is championing a cause she believes in. Whether it's empowering children on stage, turning heartbreaking animal stories into happy ones, or fighting for a planet, she chooses to be the voice of someone or something crying out to be heard. that has been and always will be where her heart is. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Nope, I'm always the champion for the little guy. Go underdog.
Uh, sorry, ma'am, we are not able to get you.
I'm not muted.
Yeah, but can you please repeat? We didn't get what you said.
Oh, just basically, I'm just always, my favorite thing to do is to help people or animals that don't have a lot of help. In the US, we call them the underdog or the little
Wow.
guy. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what I love to do. It's been a lot of fun to watch you all work and to do your magic. You should just be so proud of the speakers that you've enlisted and the lives that you're going to touch. You really should just be so proud of yourself. I'm hoping that you've all slept a little bit and are a tad bit rested and have eaten a meal because you deserve it. It's not always easy to do a good thing. And to do a great thing sometimes can be a real challenge, but it's always worth it in the end.
Definitely, ma'am. That's correct.
Okay, so ma'am, actually we had some questions for you from the audience. So we will be really glad if you answer those questions. Okay, so the first question from the audience that we collected yesterday was...
Yes, I was wearing pants.
Okay. Yeah, so the first question was, what is the one thing that you have done on your expeditions where you realized that you're capable of doing this, but you like actually never knew it before? Like any incident you would want to share with us?
That's a great question. I'd like to know who wrote that question. Actually, have them email me. You know, I think there were many parts. I think the big one was actually riding my bike in traffic. And in India, you know about traffic because it's just it's in your DNA. But where I'm from, we have very big roads. And so to ride on those tiny little roads and be able to concentrate and not die was something that a few times I thought I was going to freeze up and not be able to finish. And I was really quite surprised that I got to the point where I was okay and I could do it.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah, so like the next question is from Manvinder Singh. So yeah, we'll unmute you. You can ask your question, Manvinder. Yeah, please go ahead, Manvinder. Okay, so I guess...
Dipti, you may just read the question.
Yeah, I guess he's facing some issue. Yeah, so ma'am, Manvinder asks, what about opening own mini wildlife area or sanctuaries just for animals to feel them safe and secure? Like, what's your opinion on that?
On opening sanctuaries?
Yeah, like, just a mini place for them.
When you, because you're kind of breaking up, did you say just a small place for them?
Yes, a mini sanctuary. What do you say?
I think any sanctuary for any animal, particularly wild animals, is a very good thing. And anyone that has access to land that we can stake as our own and I don't know what the proper word is, but basically to save any kind of land that we can, especially for wild animals. I've been to India several times and worked with a group called Wildlife SOS who rescues elephants and other wild animals. And it's so important. And they started small. And many places do. But if you just have a small sanctuary, that's great. Just do what you can do. And I think it's very important. Very important. And one of the things that we do in our television series with BBC is we talk about one person and one action. And can you imagine if everyone had a little sanctuary, whether it be for dogs, cats, wildlife, whatever, and they ran it well with kindness and love and proper care. If we all just did a little bit, it would make an enormous difference. So I'm for that. And if anybody's interested in starting one, I'll be very happy to do what I can to help.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. We'll really let you know if anyone's interested. Yeah, so the next question is from Rupali. So yeah, Rupali, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Hello, ma'am. So I want to ask that what motivates you to do social work?
I didn't quite hear it clearly. Can somebody repeat the question?
Okay, ma'am, she wants to ask what motivates you to do like the social work you have been doing.
You know, I don't know if everyone saw my talk, but I think it's something that you have from birth. And I think all of us, you know, we can look at others and say, what motivates you to do that? But it's just something that I was born with. When I was a child, I was rescuing mice from my cat's mouth or trying to pour water on worms that had dried up. It's just something that's in my nature that I have to do. I can't not do it. And I think whenever you find whatever it is that motivates you to do something, then by all means honor that motivation. But it's just something that's in my heart. And there are days that I wish I didn't have it because it's hard for me to see any kind of suffering, any kind. I'm sure it's hard for everyone, but it's something that I just have to do something about, whether it's a person or an animal or a plant, whatever it is. It's just something I have from birth.
Okay, so the next question is by Abhishek. So yeah, Abhishek, I'll unmute you. You can ask your question.
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, I want to ask you, means you are an animal lover, and a scenario when you love any species and some other species attack it for food, means in the higher food chain. So what are your basic instincts in that scenario? Is what you feel?
So did I understand the question right? That if it's like a wild animal and something is attacking it because it's an instinct?
Another wild animal, means I had a scenario, means I love sparrows in my home, and I love watching them building nest, and just I spend time over there. And one day a giant bird, means I don't know that the species of that bird, attacked, and my immediate action was to means to scare that another bird, to let means hey, you let go. So is there any similar scenario with you?
So a different species of bird attacked another bird.
Yes.
That's very hard. And yes, I think anyone who works with animals is going to see that, whether it's a domestic animal, a cat attacking another cat, a cat attacking a bird attacking another bird. The animal kingdom can be quite brutal. Actually, nature can be quite brutal. And yes, I've had many scenarios like that. And to be honest, my instinct is to try to save something from being hurt. But sometimes it's not the best thing to do. It just depends on the situation, because maybe the bird that's attacking the small bird needs to eat to feed its fledglings. And oftentimes what has happened with nature, with people getting involved in the flow of nature, sometimes it's not a good thing, because nature, if we stay out of the way, will balance itself. But it is very difficult for people like you and I, who have big hearts and love to see those sparrows, to watch something try and harm it. Although we did have a neighbor's cat the other day come and try to kill a beautiful blue jay. And that we did get in the way of, because the cat is getting food. He should have been in somebody's house. And so we do step in at times like that. But it's hard. It's hard. We often go and watch the bison and the wolves in Yellowstone, and to watch a wolf try to kill a bison or to kill an elk. It's very, very hard to watch nature, but nature keeps a good balance.
So, ma'am, I have one question from my side. Personally, I'm scared of animals. There are lots of people who are not usually very much friendly with animals. So, what advice would you like to give? What's the minimum thing we can do to, like, I have the feeling to save animals, but I cannot. I'm little afraid to touch them or to interact with them, or I'm little noob in that. So, what is the minimum things we can do to save animals?
Mm-hmm. Is there any type in particular you're thinking about? Like I know in India you have a lot of stray dogs, or are you thinking more like wild animals?
A little of wild animals.
A little what?
Wild animals.
Wild. Well, you're wise to be afraid of wild animals, because they're wild. And I have friends who rehabilitate wild animals. And I have friends who had mountain lions, and they had them for 15 years in captivity because they had been declawed. I'm sorry. And but anyway, even though they were almost treated as pets, and they were very familiar with her, just one day she turned her back in the wrong direction, and she was attacked and very badly hurt. So there's always something wild about an animal, and it's wise to be cautious, but not to the point where you know, a lot of people, I know, even with your monkeys, you know, they'll kind of hurt the monkeys or whatever. And in your situation, it's difficult to find that balance. But I just try not to put myself in a position where I will fail or the animal will fail. That probably doesn't even answer your question.
Yes,
It's
yes,
difficult.
it
Every
does.
scenario is different.
Yes, you have to wise,
But, you know,
wise
there's-
according to the question.
Yeah, and there's no reason, you know, most wild animals are so much more afraid of you than you are of them, except for the ones that are habituated. And I know that you do have that a lot in India. Who and by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this in my talk, but I'm really hoping that someone will adopt me that lives in India. And I am potty trained, and I have all my shots, like all of our animals. So just putting that out there. I don't have any kids. I need someone to take care of me in my old age. So just throwing that out there.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I would like to ask a question. Yeah, so you just mentioned that you were always a little bit sensitive and inclined towards animals since your childhood. So I'm sure there must have been many instances where you learned something from some animal or the other. So would you like to share a few incidents, please?
You know, I think it's interesting that animals who might normally be considered enemies will oftentimes help one another in times of crisis. We once were at a swimming pool, and a cat had actually fallen into the swimming pool. And this dog, who normally would kill cats, it was the craziest thing, jumped in and let the cat just scratch all over him, get on top, jumped out of the swimming pool, and the cat ran away. So I think nature has a sixth sense that we don't give it credit for. And I think whatever the species, anything that you notice that you will rescue, it's sort of your friend for life, so to speak. My friend that does wildlife rescue, she will raise a fawn, a baby deer,
Dear, yeah.
and then, release it back to the wild. And sometimes 5 or 6 years later, as an adult, it will come back with a wound, a very, very bad wound, and know instinctively that my friend Cease will help them. So I think that, I think we can kind of take a little bit of a lesson from that. And even though we might be different from someone, and maybe fundamentally enemies, whether it's different religions or politics or whatever it is, at the core, we all want to live and we don't want to be under stress. And so if we can be like animals in that situation and put aside our differences and just help somebody out of a bad situation, I think the world would be a much better place.
Okay, so ma'am, I have one question from my side. So like in today's situation of adversity that we are facing in the climate change sector, so do you think that we still have a boat of opportunity that will, sail us swiftly to the right place or to where it's going to be safe? And if yes, do you think we are making proper use of it, or what should we change in our mannerism that will make proper use of it?
When you say we, do you mean we as individuals?
Yes, we as individuals.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not an expert. I'm just a person that is very concerned about our planet and trying to do what I can to draw awareness to it. And I'm counting on all of you in engineering school with brilliant minds to come up with some brilliant solutions for the planet. But I think the most important thing, and I hope this answers your question and doesn't go around it, is that there is always hope. There is always hope. And even with COVID, we saw how nature could repair itself very quickly when we weren't out and about, when we weren't driving our cars as much, the air got better, animals started coming into city areas. And I just think it's so important that we look at all of the positive, all of the brilliant inventions that are coming up, and all of the people that are putting their minds and their creativity to good use. And I think as long as we continue to focus on those and to do what we can personally. I don't eat meat. I don't eat any animal products. And I think that is the biggest step that anybody can take to help with climate change. Try never to buy anything in plastic. We don't buy toxic cleaners. But, one by one, those types of things, when you purchase something at a store, you make a vote. You're voting. I want this plant milk instead of this dairy milk, or I want this cleaner. And people listen. These retailers and stores, they listen. And when you start buying different things, they start stocking different things. So there's all kinds of little things that we can do. And individually, it does make a difference because we all contributed to the problem. So we can all take our bit of the problem away and own that.
Absolutely true, ma'am. Okay, so Rishikesh has a question to ask. Yeah, Rishikesh, you can go ahead. Rishikesh?
I
Okay,
so
so
wish I could see everybody. You have no idea how I hate that I cannot see everyone and give everybody just a big hug. I hate it.
okay, so ma'am, Rishikesh wants to ask, like, wants you to know, tell us the story of Charlie.
Of who?
Charlie.
Somebody
Your
help me out.
horse. Ma'am, your horse that you have
Charlie.
talked about,
Oh,
Charlie.
Charlie the horse. You know, when you said Charlie, it's a person, it's a man that I know that's named Charlie. And I thought, I wonder how he came up. Well, Charlie actually is a pony that belongs to my sister-in-law. And he was a rescue. He was actually going to be sold for meat. And she bought him, and she has, they play polo. Now I know in India, polo is very, very, very popular. Sometimes I feel a little bit bad about people that use animals for that type of thing. Charlie loves to play polo. If the other horses leave and he can't come, it drives him crazy. He really, really loves it. And they take very, very good care of him. And he would have, you know, he just would have been shipped off and sold for meat. I think he was on his way to France, if I remember correctly. So Charlie has a very, very happy life. And he's going to be very sad when he gets too old and has to retire. He's actually already 27 years old, I believe, which is really old for a horse, and still playing. That's the quality care that he's received. So yeah, that's Charlie's story. Now Lazarus, the story of my animal rescue, is really fascinating because I was volunteering at a local animal shelter, and they used to euthanize the animals in the morning because there just are not enough homes and not enough spaces. So they would euthanize them in the morning and then cremate their bodies in the afternoon. And they used to put them in a room, and I didn't like going in that room for obvious reasons. And one day I just got this feeling in my gut that I should go in that room. And it would not let me go. I couldn't let it go. And so I finally went in there, and I saw a big pile of dogs and cats that were dead, that had been euthanized. And on the table, the last dog that had been euthanized was lying there. And just out of the corner of my eye, I saw a tiny little muscle twitching in her leg, just tiny little bit. So I knew she couldn't be dead. And very long story short, I took her to my veterinarian, and he said she probably would have heart failure or brain damage from having such a strong drug administered, and that we should just give her more and put her to sleep. But I took her home, and she woke up about a day and a half later, and I had her for 12 years. She was a pit bull, a lovely, lovely dog. She was a therapy dog. We took her to schools and hospitals, and was just absolutely lovely. So I named her Lazarus, which is a story from the Bible, that Jesus raised a man named Lazarus from the dead. And so that's where the Lazarus Fund, the name of my rescue, comes from.
Okay, so ma'am, Abhishek wants to ask you that you said that you were a part of Wildlife SOS in India. So how was your experience with that?
They are such a wonderful group. I cannot recommend them highly enough. We brought some medical equipment from the US, and we went there, and some rescues they just don't treat the animals properly. But Wildlife SOS, they were just stellar. And I know they take volunteers, and I would highly recommend taking some time to go and volunteer. We were at the Agra location where they keep most of their elephants, and they have some sun bears, and they have all but eradicated bear dancing in India. And they have a lovely program where, for generations, families have used bears to dance and use that as their income. And so they provide these families education and money so that previous or future generations can have a different job. And then they also teach them how detrimental it is to these bears and what they've been doing to them. And I think now they are pretty much have mostly eradicated it in India, and now they're heading up into Pakistan to see what they can do. But they are a wonderful, wonderful organization. I just cannot recommend them highly enough. And it's something special to see these beautiful elephants who, you know, and I know it's controversial because in India, a lot of, you know, people like to see them in temples and like to honor them being in a temple. But really the best way you can honor an elephant is to allow it to stay with her family. You know, they're lovely family oriented animals, just like wolves. And so if you get an opportunity, you know, go and visit or do a fundraiser. They're brilliant.
Definitely, ma'am. Okay, so I guess we are done with the questions. So Akshita, you can go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Just give me a moment.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And I just really hope that you will all stay in touch with me and let me, I would really like to know your stories about what went on behind the scenes. Ladies, we're definitely going to start a women's support group. Men, not that we don't love you, but I'll start a men's support group too with my husband, Jason, and he'll come along. But I just really, one thing that I'm good at is promoting people and promoting ideas. And we've traveled everywhere. I mean, I've met, you know, some princes and princesses and presidents and, you know, you name it. And I have a lot of contacts and all over the world. And if there's ever anything that I can do for anybody, you know, please just email me and ask. I'd just be so happy to do that. That's what I love to do. That's what makes my heart happy. So, you know, just send me an email and please feel comfortable to give out my information to anybody. I don't care. I want people to have it. And so don't forget that and don't be shy. Okay.
Yeah, definitely, ma'am. All right. So, ma'am, here we just reached to our final segment.
Okay.
So, yeah. And so right now, the entire team of TEDxGECA, I want to extend a really hearty vote of thanks to you, ma'am, Tammie Stevens. And thank you so much for sparing time from your busiest schedule and to grace the occasion. Today, we had the opportunity to hear your thoughts. And this will be surely going to encourage us in our future events. So thank you so much, ma'am, for your time. Thank you.
Oh, thank you all. Thank you all. And you just call me if you need me, okay?
Yes.
Yes,
all right.
ma'am.
Okay. Lots of love to you all.
Yes,
ma'am.
thank you, ma'am.
Yeah,
Okay.
ma'am, can we just have a group photo?
Can you have a group photo? I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm in my jammies too. It's late here. It's almost coming up to midnight.
Okay, so everyone can just switch on their cameras.
How do I do that?
Yeah, so that we all can have a good photo.
I think my camera's always on.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay.
1, 2, 3, say cheese. All right. So thank you so much, ma'am.
You bet. And I know you're going to have a, oh yes. And so I can actually eavesdrop on some of your other talks, right? On some of your other interactions. I'm so excited. How do I do that? I won't say, I know it's unbelievable, but I promise I won't say a word.
Definitely, ma'am, you can, definitely.
Yeah. So do I use the same link?
Yeah, so Timely will just update the links to you according to the time span of the speakers. So it's, I guess, Chetan will update regarding time.
Okay. All right. Well, lots of love to you all. Okay.
Same to you, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, ma'am.
So I guess other participants can leave the meet. We'll meet for the next talk.
Okay, so when is the next talk?
It's at 11, I guess. Just a
Okay.
minute. Yeah, it's at 11. Atul Kauthalkar sir.
Perfect. That's
Yeah.
great. All right, so just